They thought they could bully me into paying $250,000 for fees that weren't even mine. But when I discovered they'd built on my land without permission, I knew their arrogance would cost them more than they ever imagined. It all started with a letter from the HOA, demanding $250,000 in back fees for property improvements they claimed I owed for my inherited ranch. They threatened to seize the land if I didn't comply. At first, I thought it was a mistake. My ranch had always been self-sufficient, and I'd never received a bill or even a warning about any fees for improvements. But the more I dug into their demands, the more I realized they were trying to pull a fast one. The improvements they were referring to weren't mine. In fact, they had built several roads, drainage systems, and even some recreational facilities on my land. They hadn't just improved the property, they had developed it without permission, overstepping boundaries that were clearly marked and legally documented. I wasn't about to let them get away with this. They'd been operating under the assumption that no one would ever challenge them. But they were wrong. I immediately contacted a lawyer and started reviewing all the property deeds and zoning documents. It didn't take long to uncover the truth. The HOA had not only built on my land, but they'd done so without any formal agreements or permits. They had assumed the land was part of the community development area and had simply expanded without checking their boundaries. The roads and drainage systems they built were entirely on my property I had inherited, and which was rightfully mine. I filed a counterclaim against the HOA, demanding compensation for the land they had used and a cease and desist on any future construction. I also requested a full audit of their financial records, as they had no right to charge me for something I hadn't authorized. The HOA was forced to halt their construction project, and after a long legal battle, they were required to pay me for the land they had illegally developed. In the end, the HOA not only lost their case, but had to pay me for the land they had wrongfully used. The $250,000 demand, gone, along with their credibility. For more stories of how karma strikes back at HOA corruption, subscribe to The HOA Stories now.